Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. Today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Jordan Tatum 3s. The Tatum 2s to me were just an average shoe in my opinion. The traction was good, but it did pick up dust and it was not durable to say the least. Cushioning was a step up to the Tatum 1s in my opinion, but they were just an average cushioning setup in my opinion. And the materials, they're pretty cheap, but they were pretty comfortable nonetheless once you broke it in. And the whole lockdown experience as well as the support was iffy, but it got the job done at the end of the day. So I was curious to see if there were any improvements to the Tatum 3s. And if you guys are interested, they are going for $125 on Nike's website and a few other websites. So if you guys are interested, I will leave a link in the description box below. Now to start off for you guys, when it comes to trying them on, they are very easy to put on in my opinion. Once you open up the laces, you're pretty much good to go. Just get your foot inside the shoe and lace it up and you're going to play straight away. As far as fit is concerned, it is decent. When I went shoe to size, it does run a little long, so you do get a good bit of dead space here in the toe box, but the width of the shoe is good in my opinion. The shoe itself is a little narrow, so it does conform to your foot when it comes to the width. So because of that, I would probably go down a half size for me personally to get the overall one-to-one fit that you need. Narrow footers, you should probably do the same, go down a half size. While for wide footers, you should be fine going true to size. If you need to go up a full size, that's probably not a good idea because of the extra length that you're going to get. Now moving into the traction setup, you are getting a full-length rubber outsole with this very swervy multi-directional traction pattern that you get. From my personal experience, they're good but not great. As far as grip is concerned, it has pretty solid grip on a clean court. With lateral movements, they are good, but you do experience a little bit of sliding here and there. As far as vertical movements, they are very good, but probably the best aspect of this shoe. The hard stops felt pretty good, and the launch on your first step felt very good as well, so you're going to have a very quick first step at that. On dusty courts, that is where I ran into some issues because it does pick up some dust and it affects the performance quite a bit, so you're going to be starting to slide here and there once you pick up dust. However, it comes off pretty easily, so a few wipes here and there and you're going to be fine. Just be mindful that it will pick up dust here and there. Initially, it did pick up a good bit of dust, but as you start warming up the rubber and it starts to break in, it won't pick up that much dust, but just be mindful that you're going to have to wipe it here and there. As far as durability goes, it is good. There is some signs of wear in the higher areas, just a little bit, and there is a good bit of wear, especially in the back half where the midsole is exposed. So aside from durability, that's the only signs of wear that I've experienced. As far as playing them outdoors, you should be fine. The overall durability of the rubber is kind of hard when it comes to the softness of the rubber, so you should be good to go playing in these outdoors. Indoors, you should be fine. Just be mindful that you're going to have to wipe here and there because it does pick up a good bit of dust. Now moving into the cushioning, you are getting a full-length Cushlon 3.0 midsole with a air zoom unit here in the forefoot. And as far as it performs, they felt pretty good, but it isn't the greatest that I have experienced. In the forefoot, it has a nice responsive feel, and it has a lively overall feel when it comes to how responsive it feels under your foot. And it has a decent bounce too because of the air zoom unit, so you're going to have a nice pop off of your foot. Moving into the heel, it feels pretty comfortable and forgiving. It has some decent compression in the heel. That way, you're going to have some mushiness in the heel without feeling too sinking in. However, it does bottom out on heel strikes, so when it comes to impact protection, it isn't the best, but it gets the job done at the end of the day. And considering that it is a Cushlon 3.0 midsole, it will progressively get worse the more you play in them. And to add on top of that, there is no shank, so it won't hold up the Cushlon as long as it needs to, so that it can retain the responsiveness as well as the forgiveness in the cushioning setup. So after a good bit of use in them, they will start to get worse. It won't feel as responsive, won't feel as bouncy because of the lack of a shank, and the heel cushioning will degrade the more you play in it. So moving into fluidity, they are good at a walking pace. However, the more you get up to speed with heel dominant strikes, it does feel like you are slapping the floor, and it was kind of painful to experience. But if you aren't like a heel dominant striker when you're going up and down the court, it shouldn't be an issue. But if you are, it's going to be an issue because that felt like that, because it is a pretty flat shoe. So once you start in the heel, it feels like you are clapping the floor. So that was a weird feeling to experience, but nonetheless pretty decent at the end of the day when it comes to how fluid the shoe is. But yeah, at the end of the day, the cushioning isn't the greatest that I've experienced, but it does get the job done as far as how responsive it feels, has some decent bounce and decent comfort in the heel as well. Now moving into materials, you are going to get a complete wrap of this textile material that you get in the forefoot. lateral and medial side of the shoe. And when you get into the tongue, you get a open pored mesh with some decent padding on the tongue and some more padding in the heel, which is pretty minimal, but it gets the job done. As far as how they feel, they actually feel pretty nice on foot. With a little bit of break-in time in the forefoot, you will get some nice flexibility in the forefoot. And when you move into the midfoot, the lace irritation was non-existent from what I've experienced, so I didn't have any issues there. And with very minimal padding in the back, does feel good, but there's very minimal padding nonetheless, so it is just pretty basic when it comes to comfort. It's nothing crazy. Aesthetically, though, they look kind of weird with the overall pattern style that you get, and it kind of continues from that same theme that I got in the Tatum 2s, so it's kind of weird to look at with the colorations that you get from the shoe itself. But there are some nice hints of the chalk style Jason Tatum logo that you get on the top, which is pretty decent, and that continues into the back of the heel tab. So yeah, pretty standard, pretty basic when it comes to materials. It's just basic test styles that are pretty decent and comfortable on foot, but nothing crazy. And aesthetically, they look kind of weird with the overall like pattern that you get from the shoe itself. Now, getting into lockdown, it is good in my opinion. However, in the forefoot, it does move around a lot, mainly due to the sloppy fit that you get when I went true to size. So you are going to be shifting inside the shoe, especially with vertical movements, because of the extra length that you get in the shoe. However, because of the materials, with it being really flexible, it does give out pretty easily, especially on lateral cuts. So you are going to experience some sliding when you are playing in these. So that's kind of an issue when it comes to the forefoot lockdown. In the midfoot, it is pretty basic. It is integrated with the material itself, so you are going to have a decent wrap in the midfoot, but it's nothing crazy, and I didn't move around that much. In the heel, I experienced some heel slippage in the beginning, but as you start to break in the material, it does actually conform to the back of my foot pretty nicely, and I didn't experience that much of it, especially surprising to say the least, considering that I moved quite a good bit in the forefoot. So if you get the right size for yourself, it will remedy that as far as the forefoot is concerned. But like I said, laterally, it does give out when it comes to the material, so you are going to experience some sliding when you're doing lateral movements. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's decent. The only downside is the forefoot lockdown, especially when you're doing lateral cuts. Last but not least, as far as support is concerned, it is decent, so it's nothing crazy at the end of the day. I wish it would have been more, but whatever you get on this shoe, it is what you're going to get. For lateral support, you do sit within this cup sole shape that you get from the shoe itself. So you are going to have some decent containment from the rubber that wraps up into the materials itself. So you are going to have some decent containment laterally, and it continues into the midfoot. So you're going to have some decent containment in the midfoot as well. However, in the back, there isn't a heel counter from what I feel in the back, so that is kind of surprising. So you're not going to get any stability in the back half of the shoe, and it is generally narrow, so you're going to have a nice tipping point for yourself to be rolling your ankle, to say the least. But I didn't experience that, luckily, so it wasn't an issue for me. For torsional support, like I said earlier, there is no shank, so it's going to fold very easily as far as it's concerned. But it is a cup sole, so you're going to have some rigidity from the cup sole itself, especially in the midfoot areas, so you're going to have some balance at that. And as far as the base is concerned, it is reasonably wide and reasonably flat, so you're going to have some decent stability on the outside of the shoe, but inside of the shoe, you are going to be iffy here and there when it comes to it, because there is no shank. So yeah, when it comes to support, it's just decent. It just gets the job done. If you want to get more support, this isn't the best option for you, in my opinion, because of the basic structure of the shoe, and the lack of a shank just creates an iffy experience for me when it comes to it, because I would like balance inside and outside of the shoe. That way I can do basically whatever I want to do on the court. Okay, to sum it up for you guys, the Tatum 3s to me is a slight improvement to the Tatum 2s, in my opinion. The traction, you get a more consistent experience compared to the Tatum 2s. Cushioning is basically the same. It is slightly different compared to the 2s, but you do get the same experience when it comes to forefoot cushioning, heel cushioning, and the overall duration of the cushioning itself. Materials are a little bit of an improvement. You do get more flexibility in the 3s compared to the 2s, where it does feel a little stiff. And the lockdown and support is basically the same experience. So the only improvements that I have seen are in the traction setup and the materials themselves, but it is very slight when it comes down to it. So yeah, they're pretty good when it comes to how I felt in it. There are some inconsistencies here and there. It does get the job done when it comes to what you need in a shoe. It's pretty basic how it goes about it, but as far as the Tatum line, this is probably the best that I have experienced out of the three. The ones were a little bit iffy here and there, especially with the traction. The twos were pretty basic at that. They were a little stiff, but this is a simple improvement, a very slight improvement compared to the twos, and as well as the ones. So yeah, Tatum threes are a decent shoe and the best out of the Tatum line in my opinion. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Jordan Tatum 3s. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and comment down below on what you think of the Tatum 3s. Are they the best Tatums out of the whole Jason Tatum line? I'd like to know your thoughts, as well as any other questions that you might have. If you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below. It'll greatly support the channel as well. And if you want to see my reviews on the Tatum 1s and the Tatum 2s, I will leave it on the corners of the screen right here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of that information will be in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.